Hello, everybody. Instead of doing the Macedon Once More Round the Sun review at the moment, since I need to give the album another listen, I decided to do a review that I was supposed to have done about a week ago, but I completely forgot about it. But now that I'm back from vacation, I am now able to finally do this review, and it's for an album I listened to about a week ago, about once or twice. And I really enjoyed it, and it is the album you see in the title below, the new album from Aborted, the NECROTIC Manifesto. For those who don't know who Aborted is a band from Belgium that is part of that fusion hybrid genre combination of grindcore and death metal. It's like, the way I would describe the music of Aborted, you combine the speed and intensity of grindcore with the technicality and complexity and brutality of death metal. And even on occasion, you get a little bit of melodeath in their songs when it comes to the guitar solo sometimes, and then it would get a little mellow on some parts like a melodic death metal song. So they are a hybrid styled band where it's pretty much grindcore death metal styles commingling into one to make the deathgrind subgenre of both grindcore and death metal. So with this album, the NECROTIC Manifesto, I've never listened to too much stuff from Aborted until I learned this album was coming out, and I decided to give it a listen. Overall, before I talk about some standout tracks, I thought overall this was a solid release. I thought this was an excellent piece of brutal metal work. And also the flow with it is very great too. Plus, this is a band that really loves the movie Hellraiser. Because in some of the songs on the album, there's some Hellraiser audio clip references and stuff like that throughout some of the songs. Like, I think one of them was on the end of the final track, Cenobites, and I think on Your Entitlement Means Nothing, I believe. That was another song, I believe, that had that. But as far as standout tracks, there was quite a bunch of songs I really enjoyed. The introduction song, 6 Feet of Foreplay, was an excellent introduction to an album. I thought this was one of the best intros to an album I've heard in quite some time. Other standout tracks like, it's hard to tell, I'm probably going to destroy this, but An Enumeration of Cadavers. That was a song that really got me going with the album, while the two songs previous to that, the Extirpation Agenda and Necrotic Manifesto, the title track, those were pretty solid songs, but what set the tone for me on this album was the An Enumeration of Cadavers, and then Your Entitlement Means Nothing, one of the best, like, under 2-minute songs I've heard, and since stuff I've listened to from like Hatebreed or Napalm Death or Repulsion, something like that. The Davian Deceit was a solid, really good, great song that I really enjoyed on the album, because pretty much how I would describe with how the album went as far as the flow. You had crazy vocals, like you would get some deep stuff, you would get some screamier stuff, or anything in between that. The drums were absolutely crushing. Like, the blast beats that were done on this album were excellently perfected, I guess you could call it that. The riffs were just all over the place. It was all about the riffs. And these guys, I've got to say with Aborted, for a hybrid death grind band, they have a lot of creativity to them when it comes to how they structure their songs. And the instrumentation on the songs were very brutal and complex, kind of like a technical death metal band. And in fact, that's one of the styles they perfect with their albums, is the technical death metal or progressive death metal side, mixing it with the grindcore and a tiny bit of mellow death on occasion. That's really how Aborted is able to to craft their songs. The solos on the album, like I said, that you would have grindy, fast, wild solos. But at the same time, on a couple songs, you would get like mellow kind of solos at times. But like other standout tracks I really enjoyed, like Chronicles of Destruction. I probably destroyed that terribly. Let me try it again. Chronicles of Deruncation. There we go. That's the way to say it. That was a fucking brutal song. And then another one which had a guest person, Excremental Veracity, which was featuring a guy named Pelethon from a band called Wormed, I believe. That was a great song. Purity of Perversion was a really solid song. But the best song for me that really sold me on this album was Cenobites, the final song and the longest song on the album at 5.5 minutes. Because on this album you had all kinds of different styled riffs, some great soloing, some crushing drums, the crazy vocals, and then at the very end the Hellraiser reference to close the album out. Overall, as far as the flow, this is one of the best albums I've heard in quite some time when it came to the flow, because there was no clunkers on this album. Every song was straight to the point, brutal, grindy, technical, progressive, brutal, complex, riffs and more riffs. What else can't be said about this album? So, where does it stand on the best albums list of 2014 at this moment? Right now, this is a top contender, potentially, for Album of the Year, at least for now. It might be a toss-up between that or Triptychon's Milana Chasmata at the moment. We've still got plenty of more albums to check out, and more coming out later in the year that could top Aborted and Triptychon at some point, but there you have it. Thank you guys for checking out this review of Aborted's the Necrotic Manifesto. I would recommend checking out this album if you can find a full album list on YouTube to sample to decide whether or not you want to buy the album or not. If I can get a chance, I could probably get this album and I would enjoy it, because this is an awesome, brutal album. First time ever I've listened to Aborted, and I loved it. I might check out some of their older stuff, so there you go. But the next review we're going to have will be Mastodon's Once More Round the Sun. Until then, see ya.